Welcome to the Garden Gate Project, a podcast where we talk to professionals across many fields who work directly and indirectly with plants in our natural world.
We're students at American University in Washington, D.C., and interns at the Smithsonian Gardens.
We created this project with the hopes of inspiring a new generation to make sustainable and meaningful change in our world.
I'm McKenna Friedland.
I'm Kat Riano.
And I'm Annie Berlin.
In this podcast, we are talking with Mike Mastrota.
Mike Mastrota is a landscape architect for American University.
Thank you for meeting with me today, Mike. Can we start off with your name and a little bit about what you do?
I'm a landscape architect, and I've worked here at American University for 25 years, and we've turned our entire campus into an arboretum and gardens, and it's been quite an experience. And prior to that, I worked in several different areas. I've worked for the National Park Service for a few years, and I've also worked in private practice landscape architectural design.
What does a normal day look like for you, and how did you end up at American in the first place?
Yeah, so my current job at American University is I manage our campus arboretum. So my day-to-day role varies from with the seasons, the weather, and just lots of things going on. We get involved with a lot of different things on the campus, some of which you might not think would be part of taking care of the grounds of the campus. But for example, we're working with this Learning by Leading program, which is great because it's a way for folks like me that are in facilities management that don't usually teach classes or things like that, but to be able to be involved in the educational offerings of the university. So we love working with our students and find them so engaging and smart, and helpful to some of the things we're doing. So that's one thing that we're involved with. Things like clubs like the Beekeeping Society and the Community Garden and the Zero Waste Club and the Engineers for a Sustainable World Club, and all different types of student club activities that are involved with environmental things that we can get involved with. One of the things the Arboretum does is it really promotes the university, not only in attracting future students, but as well as getting the word out that American University is a nice place to visit. A lot of our neighbors use our grounds as their kind of public park. We especially noticed this during COVID when everyone was cooped up inside. We didn't have any students on campus, but our neighbors were still out strolling through campus and things like that, walking their dogs and their kids learning how to ride their bikes, and it was interesting to watch. But how did I get here? So, I started out in way back when I was a college student. I thought I wanted to be an architect. I'd never heard of landscape architecture. And I was in a first-year design class and sitting next to someone who was in landscape architecture. So I asked a few questions and went and talked to one of the professors, and they basically said landscape architecture is similar to architecture, but you get to do things that are outside and more in tune with the environment. If you like that type of thing, it might be a good career to think about. So I really did like that, and love the outdoors, love nature, always have. Liked building things as a kid, so I always liked designing and creating things. So it seemed like a good fit, and has been a good fit. When I graduated college, I went in to start working for a small landscape architecture firm in the Washington, D.C. area. And that firm grew I was like the third person in the firm, and it grew to like 25 people, and ended up leaving there and going to work for the National Park Service for a few years, which was a neat experience, getting to travel a little bit and go to some of our national parks, which is always a fun thing. But then this job at American University showed up, and it's a really kind of a unique position for a landscape architect, because you get to, basically stay in one place, work on one property, and see it used. So you get to kind of create something and then watch and tweak it as people use it. So that's kind of a neat experience. And like I said, I've been here for a long time. I've really enjoyed it, and we've done quite a bit. It's hard for students that are here now to imagine what it was like 25 years ago, because it was not the green, sustainable campus that it is today. So we really do feel that we've transformed this campus in many ways, and really it shows. And I just talking to someone yesterday, the number of applications to come to AU is over 20,000, which is a record. And when we first started, it was like 5,000. So I think, having a beautiful campus, one that's green and sustainable, and really helps people want to be here. Yeah, it's one of the selling points, because I think we have a campus that has all the benefits of being in the city, but when you're on campus, you don't feel like you're in the city, and it feels you have a kind of a green space and open space, and you're not like down in the middle of the grid of the city, even though
Yeah.
you have access to it very easily. So it's a nice combination.
What would you say is the best thing you did to get where you are today?
Probably the best thing I did was accepting this job and seeing it back then. This is like 1994, 5 time frame. There were still things like the classified ads in the Washington Post and not so much internet job search tools that you have today. But I think just seeing that the ad in the paper, I remember, and applying for it and thinking it would be kind of a neat position because I'd be able to work with students and be on a campus, which I always think of our campus as kind of like a small city because we have all the amenities of a city. We have our library, we have public works, we have cultural events. We have it's a lot of learning opportunities. We have guest speakers and dignitaries coming in to give lectures and things like that. So it's kind of those are all attractive things. A nice fitness center that you can join and all those things. But it seemed like a really good position where I could, make some positive changes and, like I said, live with it. So in private practice, you design something and oftentimes you aren't involved in the construction, or if you are, you don't get to go back and see it too often. So here every day, I can watch people walk through and experience some of the things that we've done on campus.
What are some resources that helped you along the way?
Yeah, I think the best resources are, we've got a great team that's here, and it's changed a little bit over the years, but I think every time it makes change, we make it for the better. So, I mean, obviously, this is not a one-person transformation of this campus. It's been a team effort, and just having great teammates that all kind of believe in the same philosophy and goals, and having the support of the administration has made it possible, all the things that we've been able to do. There's still more things we want to do, but I think we've come a really long ways and really made American University a much better place than it used to be.
Looking back at your career, what is some advice you'd give yourself?
I guess looking back, I mean, I've done so many different things. One of the nice things about this kind of career is that there's a lot of variety and a lot of different things you can get involved with. Landscape architecture as a profession is a very broad profession. There's lots of ways you can go. For example, some people focus their whole career designing golf courses, for example, or something like that, very specific. But most of us get involved with all different types of projects, whether it's public parks or residential projects or commercial projects, or on university, we get, there's like all different types of new buildings that are built and sites around those buildings and doing things really for our audience, and our audience is students. So I think that the variety is something that I really enjoy. You're not doing the same thing every day, that's for sure. A lot of exciting, types of projects coming your way. So I've enjoyed it.
When working with a space at American, did you find it difficult to incorporate sustainability?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when I first started, again, 25 years ago, sustainability wasn't really emphasized like it is today. We started doing some green and sustainable things really before it became popular. Now, it's expected, I think, in every college campus. We didn't have an Office of Sustainability back when I first started, and we were one of the first schools to actually have an Office of Sustainability and really to take it to the forefront. AU has been one of the leaders in green infrastructure and sustainability, the first university to be carbon neutral in the country, and all those different things. And the landscape certainly plays a big part of that, and our practices. For example, we don't use pesticides on campus any longer and things like that. So things have changed over the time, and for the good, I think. It's been a learning experience, and we have to be able to adapt to new things that come out. And one of the good things here is we get to try out some new technologies and be kind of a leader in, to the landscape industry as well, to try some new things and promote them.
What would you say is the most challenging aspect of your career?
So that's a good question too. So one of the things, landscape architecture is probably one of the more misunderstood professions. People hear the word landscape and they automatically think of plants. They think, okay, well, a landscape architect must be involved with plants, and the profession is really so much more than just the plant part of it. We are involved with all types of things like pedestrian and vehicular circulation and designing hardscapes and lighting and creating spaces that are used for people and different types of events. College campus being a great example, you you look at like our main quad on campus, and it could be used for somebody, sitting out under a tree with their laptop studying, or it could also be an event of 3,000 people or protest. Designing spaces that are adaptable and that can be used in many different ways, and just understanding your audience, I think, is one of the bigger challenges that we face.
That is super interesting. I didn't think of it like that. I knew there was a design aspect, but I didn't think of the practical parts of the job.
Right. Yeah. The way we like to look at it is, architects design buildings, and buildings are an important part of the landscape because the outside of the building that you see is what frames the outdoor spaces. But we, like to be involved with everything that's outside of the building. So, and even what the building looks like, because that does influence the landscape as well.
Yeah, I never really thought of it like that. Does your work at American give you more of a sense of community than working at a traditional firm?
Definitely, being part of a campus community. So you've got students, faculty, staff, they're involved with alumni, our neighbors. So we always talk about the AU community. It really is a community feeling, and you're part of something bigger. My other jobs, the National Park Service, that was kind of a family atmosphere. If you work for the Park Service, you had lots of other people that you could communicate with that kind of understood the natural aspects of things like that. When you work for a smaller private firm, it's still, because we spend a lot of hours together. It's a profession where you often work late, meet deadlines sometimes and things like that. So you get to be friends with your core group. But here at AU or any university, I guess you kind of get a larger kind of sense of community just because it's a large number of people involved. And so I think, and plus you're always kind of working for a common goal to make the university better, or your students learn more, or things like that. So.
What are the biggest differences you found from working somewhere like the National Park Service as opposed to a university campus like American?
Yeah, well, it's very different. So National Park Service is a federal government agency. So there's a little bit more bureaucracy involved and things like that. What I really enjoyed there was just getting the chance to travel some of our national parks. They're all beautiful or historic in their own right, and learning about them and getting to talk to the folks that take care of them. Everyone's very, kind of passionate about what they do, sometimes even to an extreme, it seems like. Coming here, people were more concerned about the student experience and not so much about whether the tree on the quad is protected. In the Park Service, like everything's about protecting the natural resources. But here, it's, on a college campus, the students are your resources, they're primary, so as it should be. So it's a little different. And, I wasn't coming here, I was working with lots of different types of professionals in different fields. Park Service, it was more, landscape architects and historians and ecologists, and everyone kind of focused on the environment there. Where here, it's not as just a wide variety of different people you have to coordinate with.
Well, again, thank you so much for taking time with me today.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
The Garden Gate was created by Kira Burba and Carolyn MacDonald as part of the Learning by Leading initiative with the Smithsonian Gardens.
Season 2 team includes McKenna Friedland, Catherine Rayano, and Annie Berlin.
The music is royalty-free music on SoundCloud. Special thanks to Cynthia Brown and Paula Healy. Learn more by visiting gardens.si.edu. Thanks for listening.